We're going to go back into session here. I guess we'll start all over. This meeting has been properly advertised and posted in accordance with Public Law 75, Chapter 231. If we could please all rise for the flag salute. Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please let's remain standing for a moment of silence. At this time, I would definitely like to keep all of our men in the armed services to be safe and thank them for the job that they're doing for our community. And I also pray for this governing body that we all cooperate and get along for the best of our sake. Amen. Roll call, please.
Councilman Barbetta.
Here.
Councilwoman Givens.
Here.
Councilman Hughes.
Here.
Mayor Venezia.
Present. At this time, I'm going to open the meeting up to the public for any comments, questions. I make a necessary motion. Thank you very much.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mary Faith?
Can I come up here because I have to spread out? My name's Mary Faith. I live at 92 South Jersey Avenue. I have to read because there's so much. I came before you guys at the August meeting, if you remember, 2017, and I was talking about the closing of the 9th Avenue railroad crossing. And at that point, the mayor at the time, he said, and I have the minutes, that it was the state that was considering closing the crossing, not the city, and that currently 10th and 9th Avenue are on hold, and that he said maybe he would have me talk to Conrail and DOT. Do you remember that? And I said I'd be happy to, vaguely? Okay. Well, I didn't hear anything, and then I got an order from the state. So as I got this order from the state and I started reading it, I realized that there was a meeting in February of 2016, which is before August. In January, I sent out 6 certified letters.
Mary, can I interrupt you just for a second? You said
Yes.
2016?
2017, I'm sorry. That's a bad year for me. It's 2017. So I sent out 6 certified letters, and I received 2 responses. One was from the Department of Transportation, and one was from Lobiando. The Department of Transportation, they were very surprised that none of the residents knew what was going on and that we were not notified. And he said that I could quote him and that it makes no sense to him why you were closing 9th Avenue because all along the Department of Transportation and all the reports that you read, it was they were going to fix 11th, fix 9th, and they were going to close 10th. And he said it was all their recommendation all along. That's how it was supposed to be. They did their studies, and there was 10 engineers. 10 engineers were at each site. And they gave their recommendations to keep 9th Avenue open and close 10th, which is in Dorothy, not even in Estell Manor, and they were going to fix 11th Avenue. So I did my Oprah request forms to the city of Estell Manor and to the state of New Jersey. And it was kind of funny that I found out there was, which I have here, there was 3 meetings. Well, actually, there was an email, June 27th, which the mayor at the time, he's copied. And there was a meeting on July 7th, and there was a sign-in sheet, which the mayor attended, and so did our Public Works man. And then there was a letter on July 9th of 2017 from the mayor. And the whole time, he's discussing fixing 9th Avenue. We're not closing 9th Avenue. We're going to close 10th. But in there, he has a little paragraph about the merits of keeping 10th Avenue open. Actually, it's kind of funny because it's the same paragraph, if you read through all the papers, that the engineer wrote and that Mayor Tiesenfitz wrote and that Dorothy wrote. It's the same paragraph. So that was on July 9th. So, I'm kind of wondering why when I came to the meeting in August that I was told they knew nothing about this. Because obviously, you knew about it. Maybe you guys didn't know about it, but the mayor at the time knew about it. So, they did their study, the traffic study, the state did their traffic study, and the argument is argument from Estell Manor and from Dorothy is about the traffic. Well, they did their study, and they sat there for 12 hours, and they did not see one bus, one police car, one ambulance, one fire truck. The buses, as I said before, come down to 9th Avenue. But if you read through all the paperwork, which I did, and I was so confused, because I could not find anywhere in here where they said to close 9th Avenue. It was always, the plan was, we're closing 10th, and we're gonna fix 11th and fix 9th. But there's a letter here from Frailinger Engineering, it's dated July 17th. And the same paragraph as before, their arguments of why to keep it open. But there's nothing here from Estell Manor saying to close 9th Avenue. There's no paperwork anywhere of saying to close 9th Avenue. There is a paragraph where, in the minutes from the engineer, not Frailinger, but it's the engineer for the, for the job that's going on, that was reflected in the minutes that they were advised that the plan was to instead close 9th. I don't know what happened, but there's no paperwork for that. So I did an open request form. But the funny thing with open request forms, they don't include phone calls. They just include paper. Phone calls are not included. I was told, and I can quote him again, the Department of Transportation, they do not understand why that you would want to go against 10 engineers. But I was told that some people feel that 9th Avenue is not important and that there are only a few houses there and that they really don't matter. Well, my husband's family has lived here since 1924. That's 94 years. And my children are 4th generation here. So I believe that everybody in Estell Manor matters. So if you're going to go against the recommendation of 10 engineers, the city is going to be on notice that if anything happens back there, you're going to be liable. Because you're going against their recommendation. But there's no paperwork because it's not in writing. Someone made a phone call. And you wonder why people don't trust you? This is why people don't trust you. Thank you.
Mary, if I may just simply state, I got that document in my packet, and then I did contact you to let you know that
Nobody contacted me.
something's going on.
The only person that contacted me was Frank Lobiando and the Department of Transportation. Do you remember now when I came before you, or you still don't remember?
Yes.
I do remember when you came before.
Okay, so how could this happen?
I can't tell you, I was not involved in that.
Yeah. Isn't that a little suspicious?
Let the truth be told.
Okay, well, I hope this gets rectified, because you're going against, and like I said, there's nothing in writing. You guys didn't put anything in writing, there was a phone call that was made. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Paul Faith? Hold on.
Paul Faith from 93 South Jersey Ave. On January 4th, we had 14 inches of snow, and typically the Public Works would take their snow plows, go down 9th, go over 9th Avenue Railroad crossing, turn around, go back over the crossing, and then continue plowing 9th. But for some reason this year, they decided they weren't going to plow the 9th Avenue Railroad crossing, despite the fact that it's still a public road and still open. The other people drove over it. I drove over it, got stuck briefly. I got out, came back a couple hours later, and then, to my surprise, someone plowed snow on top of the railroad crossing, a couple feet high, to prevent anyone else from crossing. So, we called the, Jeff Cornell, he called for emergency management. He called someone out to plow it. I heard them come in with the snow plow. After they got done, I walked out there, and sure enough, there's still 6 to 8 inches of snow. There's, a lazy job. So I'm just complaining about, it's kind of a coincidence here that, there's a secret that the road's getting shut down, but it's still open, but for some reason, when we get over a foot of snow, it's not plowed, and then on top of that, it's intentionally stacked up with snow to prevent I don't know, I guess my family's from using it as an entrance and exit, so I'm just complaining about that.
Do we know who plowed that snow up?
I didn't see the person, probably was dead, I'm mistaken, but,
In the future, I would appreciate a phone call if you're having an issue with that with the Public Works Department.
okay.
Let me know, so I can make some contacts and have somebody out there to rectify the problem.
Okay.
I'm pretty good at trying to get ahead of things. If there is an issue with somebody and they tell me about the road, I usually try to get somebody out there to take care of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Garrett?
I'm Stanley Garrett. Don't you have to notify people before you can vacate a road or close a road by law?
No,
Or you can just shut her down?
it's the railroad.
I'm gonna tell you from past experience, yes, there has to be notification.
So then they can't shut this road down then? Then it becomes a legal matter, right? So is it gonna be rectified or?
I'm gonna look into this here and I'll reach out to the DOT and talk to them and see what we can come to a conclusion on.
It would be nice to find out who said, go ahead, take 9th Avenue instead of 10th, right? Or nobody's listening.
For the record, I'm not in favor of any of the roads to be shut down. Not 9th, not 10th, and certainly not 11th,
Yeah.
which all three of them were proposed to be shut. And I don't think it's a good idea. I don't see what the need is.
Well, I appreciate, people looking into it.
I will-
The sooner the better.
I will most positively look into it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mary, you want to conclude?
I have a name and a phone number for you.
Thank you.
And he answers the phone,
Give
so,
that to me at a later time, okay?
yes.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public?
I think you have to contact the railroad company.
Yes, Joseph Green, 187 Route 50. I'd like to bring a suggestion for the city to look into. Hamilton Township has something called Nixle Alerts. It's basically an emergency notification system, and in non-emergency situations such as road closures and weather conditions down power lines. I think it would be a good idea for the city to look into this system, since most of the residents, or a lot of people today, they all have cell phones mostly. And it's a great effective way to communicate with your town people. And it's instantaneously. You don't have to wait for whatever you sent out in the mail, or you don't have to have something, like a massive phone call system. So basically, the person who would be sending out the notifications would be Gloucester Township, since the county dispatch for Gloucester County is with Estell Manor Power Company, I believe. So I know that it's probably doesn't cost that much, but it'll be something that Estell Manor should look into again.
So if I may say something, I spoke to the state police about that issue a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And they were kind of like up in the air. They wanted to gather more information. I did explain to them about Hamilton Township as a Nixle, and they sent out this notification. I don't recall who the station commander was back then, but you know what? Maybe that's something you should talk to them about. I mean, I'll certainly reach out as well, but I think that, it's your idea. You might elaborate a little further with it. I give you blessings to go ahead and proceed.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Do you have anything else?
That's it.
Thank you for your input. Anyone else in the public?
Yes. Good
Mrs.
evening,
Ellen
Ellen
Olson.
Olson, 168 7th Avenue East, Estell Manor. I'm chairperson of the Estell Manor Historic Preservation Commission. And I've been on the commission probably about 17 years now. We have 6 hardworking members who are appointed by the mayor. And this year we ran into a little bit of a glitch. We worked on a sign for the Estaville School on Walkersford Road next to the Estaville Church, just off Route 50 there. We spent the year researching, developing, planning the sign, got everybody's approvals we needed. And when I submitted it to council, they said that they were going to table it because they wanted to see the wording. They wanted to research our research. And I took offense to that because this has never happened. And I spoke to the other members on the Preservation Commission, and they were just really shocked that this would happen, that our information would get re-researched. Okay, so then we had, again, I was told we have to wait because we have a new election coming up. And now here it is, 3 months later, and I still have not gotten any approvals from the council here. So I would really like to see some movement done. I also left a message on Mr. Barbetta's phone on Monday at 11 o'clock, February 12th, and did not receive a response about this. And I was told he was the one that I should speak to. Second sign, we had a sign put up here at the Risley School a number of years back, and it was taken down by the Historical Society.
Not true.
And I've been told it's in the basement of this building. And it was taken down because there was a concern about a date on the sign. And that sign is sitting in the basement, and that was taxpayers' money and the Historical Commission's work. And I'd like to see that put back up.
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Poe?
The sign on the Risley School, no, I don't know about the dates, but if you go to Weymouth Township, we were part of Weymouth Township, and the building did not burn down, which the sign said the building burned down. Never burned down. It was sold for $50. I don't know if it's down on Cape May someplace or Tuckahoe Road. But why would you want to put up the sign that has wrong information? As far as the commission, it's the responsibility of the commission to have public hearings and to have that information with the clerk. So if somebody comes in and says, well, where did you get that information? Well, here it is. These are the references that we used. You need to have the backup and the follow-up. As far as the sign, you have the sign down here on Cumberland, you can't even read it. Putting out $600 for a sign you can't read is not a good idea. So get a sign that you can read, maybe with less information on it. But
Mrs. Bowden, what sign are you referring to? Burridge Colony sign?
yeah,
Okay, the signs are not to be meant like a billboard with a few words
I
on it,
understand that.
okay? They're to mark an historic site where the colony existed in the 1880s.
I understand that.
And it's meant to mark the site, and if you have an interest, you stop and you read it. There was
When you
a
stop, it's
lot
hard
of
to read.
research and development, including Hamilton Township. Carl Farrell
Yep.
had a lot of input into that
Yep.
sign too.
Yeah, we've had him over, yeah.
Okay, is there anyone else from the public? Going once, going twice. Last
See,
chance,
this is gonna,
hands left hand.
want to put a sign back up.
Motion to close the public meeting? Motion. All in
Second.
favor? Aye. Judd is very patiently waiting over here. He wants to do the bill list. I'm going to have a new policy that I would like to have for the record, Brenda. And that is, when we have our city council meetings, the first order of business, immediately right after the open public session, should be that the bill list should be on the agenda. That way there, Judd is still here. If we have any questions, we can ask him. Unfortunately, there's been numerous meetings where I've got questions, and unfortunately, Judd's long gone, but, we get the bill list sometimes towards the end of the meeting, so I want to have a policy that the first order immediately after the open to the public shall be the bill list. And that way there, all members of council who have any questions pertaining to a financial matter, Judd is here to respond.
So,
Fair enough, Judd?
so I can get this, to understand this, you're gonna have Judd required to be at every council meeting?
I think he should, yes. I really do think he should.
The only suggestion that I can make at this point is the information that's contained in this bill list is given to everybody in council by Friday afternoon at noon time. It goes out. So that gives every person that sits up here 6 days to review that information And if they have any questions or concerns about something on the bill list, they should be addressed prior to the meeting.
Right.
So you're not sitting here going and dragging this all out in a long matter of time, and we can get the questions answered ahead of time, so we don't have a serious problem.
I agree with you, Larry, but just as an example, we have this bill list right here that I have some notations, and now I have a revised bill list that we just received tonight. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. That's why it's necessary. Things get put on the bill list. I truly do understand it. I get it. It's probably necessary, you know, you don't get all of our invoices in on a timely fashion, but the reality is, you know, here's this bill list tonight. I'm gonna have to probably go through it and see what's going on with this, but anybody else with an issue about having the chief financial officer here to go over the bill list with us? Hearing none. This time we're gonna go over the bill list because Jeff's got an appointment to do something after this meeting here, so. Now, Judd, this here is updated. How many additions have been, I mean, at the very least, Judd, if I could ask,
He did, he draws a line to the.
he's got a line drawn.
He showed you what's
So
there.
everything that's from above this line is on the first bill.
Correct.
Gotcha. Now I notice that we have an update with the billing here for land resource. Originally they had a, what do I see here, it's almost like more than half less, half the amount. What was that, Judd? Did they have some late billing that came in with our landfill account?
Yes, I checked the bill tonight, we still owe them about another $6,000, and then it's gonna be completed.
So I see that you have a conference of mayors, because I got a call from, the executive yesterday, and he was wanting to know if I was still gonna be on the side soon. Now that I've got it on the list, if we can continue. Thank you. Jed, you brought something to my attention about, fire equipment that was purchased, and this purchase kind of blows over what we had already appropriated for the temporary budget, and if my memory serves me right, we have been appropriating somewhere on about $20,000. So, was there an authorization from you to do this, or what happened?
No, what I
I
was,
don't understand it.
what I was trying to explain to you is the transfer resolution, because there's a transfer resolution that has to be done. Theoretically, the transfer resolution should be done before we do the bill list. But the chief was advised that there were funds available, and if we went over the regular amount of money that we have for the fire department, there was additional money in aid to the fire company that we did not use. So, in total, we are within the bounds of what we allocated to the total fire company.
This right here is pretty much within the bounds of what we've allocated, which means we're dangerously close to what we've allocated and with no more to be spent. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because we're transferring from one account to another to cover the bills. But there are no anticipated bills for the 2017 year for the fire company, so we're okay.
I personally think, with all due respect, that you really do need to be notified, Judd, before any purchases like this are made. I mean, the availability of the funds has to be there.
Yep.
The availability of the funds are not there, and now we have to do a transfer tonight. This is probably gonna be something that's gonna go into a comment, in the recommendation.
I don't think it's gonna go, no, it won't go into a comment, but I did advise the chief to let me know in the future as to any purchases like that, to double check them.
If there's something that's an absolute emergent, I can truly understand that, but, you know, just to purchase a bunch of equipment and doesn't get the approval from council, and certainly doesn't get your approval, and you're the chief financial officer, I mean, it's just not procedurally correct.
Well, it may have gotten approval from the prior mayor or the council member, I do not know that. All I know is that the bill showed up.
But if that got approved by a previous mayor or a member of council, still, we have to have the certification of the availability of funds that
Yes.
you have to authorize.
I agree.
And did you authorize that?
No.
So here we are. That's why I'm questioning this. We shouldn't be doing this. I know that we're not supposed to be doing this, and I believe you know too. So, in the future, I'm gonna tell you right now, any expenditures really have to get a purchase order from you, and also has to have the availability of the funds that are there.
Yes.
You don't just go shop and then say, hey, guess what? We bought a whole bunch of stuff, we got enough money here. Doesn't work that way. I've been doing this a long time. And you know that I'm correct.
I know you're correct, but when the bills show up, they show up.
This is inappropriate, okay? It's improper. It's not the way it's supposed to be done. Does anybody have any questions about the bill list? I actually, in fact, do have one. We have one here with Cooper Levinson, $75. It's a litigation thing here. I mean, what exactly, Hanson House has walked away. They're not gonna be locating over there. So why are we still continuing on having an attorney represent an applicant that is no longer an applicant looking to purchase the property? What are we doing?
It was probably just a follow-up letter of some kind. I mean, I have the detail, but
But Judge, they walked away months and months ago, Hanson House. Almost close to a year ago, they walked away. Pine Lanes told them, we'll allow you to put X amount of clientele in there, and they says, no, we can't, we have to have 44 to make it cost effective, and they walked away. I'm gonna say it's actually close to a year ago.
It could, I may make a suggestion, it could have been a time constraint thing, where they had to wait a certain period of time before they put that final letter out, and that's why you're gonna be getting the bill now. I'm not positive to that, but I'm just offering a suggestion.
Okay, I have another one here. We have a Peter Wagner, and it's for 11318, Office of Emergency Management Snow. That's $320, but everybody else is $33.75. How is one 10 times more than the other?
It's my understanding that the night of the snowstorm, that individuals were called in to work that night shift,